Welcome to the Get Off Zero podcast. I wanted to do an intro, basically interviewing myself for the very first episode, and kind of how this project came about. So, if you want to check out the website, it's getoffzeropod.com, and yeah, it's a podcast about documenting BTC learning journeys. So, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm assuming people listening to this probably do as well. And the one thing that's sort of glossed over in a lot of podcasts with interviews is um the learning journey. So like basically you'll hear like someone maybe say, "Oh, I heard about BTC in this time and date and place," and then kind of that's it. They don't kind of explore the rest of it. So I want to get to that aspect of learning journeys, and then kind of progressing through to where people are from that date till now and kind of how they got there. So yeah, I'm your host. If you want to get in contact, at Kieran D Nolan on Twitter, it's probably the best place. You can email me on the website as well. I've got a link to that. We've got the videos going up on Bitcoin Aggregated, so that's a Bitcoin aggregator for all the podcasts that we're doing and Bitcoin information. So yeah, bitcoinaggregator.com/getoffzero. We're on Fountain FM as well, so you can find us on there. And yeah, if you want to tip me or tip the show, it's getoffzeropod at getalby.com. And finally, and probably most importantly, how this whole podcast came about was quite interesting. So there's a company called Amber that do a really cool DCA tool. So if you don't know what DCA is, we'll probably get into that, but it stands for dollar cost averaging, and basically they automate buying of BTC. And yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I was brainstorming with a friend of mine, who we do a podcast together on Bitcoin Aggregated, sort of once a week. Check that out on a Monday if you get a chance. Yeah, me and my friend Chris, we're kind of brainstorming a new way to onboard people for learning journeys, specifically around security. And yeah, after a big session, kind of going back and forth with different ideas, we kind of landed on the idea that we probably need to partner with some sort of exchange. And we were kind of going down the list of exchanges, Aussie exchanges, that we were kind of like, yeah, maybe that one. I don't know. Like some of them have been hacked, and some of them are less than sort of trustworthy. Then we kind of landed together on Amber, and like yeah, they're probably the coolest company. It's really like they're not doing any altcoins. Security is really good. They use multi-sig, all the rest of it. So now we kind of left that, and I went off to bed, and then woke up the next morning with a tweet from a really nice guy, Andy from Amber, saying, "Would you like to do a podcast with us?" I was like, the synchronicity was just crazy. So yeah, I was like, yeah, look, I've got this idea for another podcast called Get Off Zero, and yeah, here we are. Here we are. So basically, yeah, the premise of the show is learning journeys, and not just people in the BTC network. So I've got a big social network of educators as well. So I want to get to where they're at in their learning journey, and sort of document all those cool things as well. Um, so the first question that we'll dive into, and this is all up on GitHub, so it'll probably expand and change as we go, but this is the basics of it anyway. So the first question is basically, did you question money before you heard about Bitcoin? And this is a big one because most people, it's no, right? It's like it's a given. Money is just this thing that we need, and you don't really think about it. Well, for me, it was a little bit different. So, and I kind of came at it from a different perspective altogether, I think, than a lot of people, or most people that I've heard. So that's why I'm really fascinated to hear people's learning journeys. But for me, it started back in about 2012 with the Occupy movement. So Occupy Wall Street was a big thing, and there was Occupy all over the world, and all these people meeting up and talking about different solutions to the after the GFC and all the issues and the ills of the world of revolving around finance, and how we kind of solve it. And one of the solutions was something called universal basic income that I thought was, oh, that's a cool idea. It'll allow people to basically, live their life and then be able to research things and help other people, and really good sort of social mechanism, I suppose, for living. It has its issues and sort of I've researched, but in that, quite naively, I came across BTC, and I think the first time I saw it was on was a I think the first time was on Adam Kokesh's show. So he had a show on RT called Adam versus the Man, and basically he had it was like a vending machine that accepted Bitcoin. I was like, oh, geez, that's interesting. Like, what is that? Like, because I was researching all these different monetary systems, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the first time. And then anyway, so I was like, started researching the mining aspect, and I thought, oh wow, that's really cool. So it means we could get the government essentially could buy everyone a piece of hardware. At the time, it was like CPU moving into GPU mining, and that's all people would need, right? So there's universal basic income. Yeah, quite naively, I thought everyone would be excited about that and on the same page, but didn't sort of turn out like that. It was quite interesting, but it's sparked yeah, an interest in finance, like specifically from that. And I think even before that, um, the thing that sort of got me researching money and the USD and the AUD not being backed by gold and all the rest of it. Was a film called Zeitgeist. I think it came out in like 2007, 2008, around the GFC as well. So it was kind of, yeah, around that, and then researching for a little bit, but then the 2012 movement really sparked that. So then, yeah, got into BTC, researching that, and thinking that was going to be like the UBI, proof of work UBI, but didn't quite work out that way. So yeah, progressed from there and actually started Australia's first Bitcoin school. So teaching youngsters, so kids in primary school, about BTC and crypto and blockchain and all the rest of it. Just headlines all over the place about our school. Or actually, Bitcoin.com did two really good articles, actually worth checking out if you get a chance. And the Age did a fantastic article as well. But yeah, so that sort of progressed, and we built this amazing learning space with a philanthropist that came from the States, came to our school, and yeah, gave us 21 BTC, that we ended up having to set up a foundation, and he like bought stuff for us because the Department of Ed didn't understand what it was. The irony being out of control with that, because it's like literally you couldn't buy stuff for school kids because you don't understand what money is. Okay. But it worked out really well because we ended up like flipping it, and the kids just voted on how all the funds were allocated for the school, so we built these amazing learning spaces, 4 shipping containers decked out with like Satoshi's white paper on the wall, and all this really cool hardware, and the podcasting station or news desk, and VR and 3D printers and all the rest of it. It was wicked. So that was really cool, and yeah, the kids got a lot out of it, and it's like a really student-centric learning space from the ground up. But yeah, that's kind of my history, and how I've sort of progressed through the I suppose my BTC learning journey. That's kind of how it progressed. But moving on to like some of the questions that I have. So the Get Off Zero questions that I have is the first one is DCA. So this is a bit of an Amber promo in here. So if you want to get $10 worth of Bitcoin, you can jump onto Amber and use the promo code getoffzero. There's a link on the website, and I'll put a link in the description as well. Really easy to use, and yeah, great company. So I would highly recommend it. But for me, DCAing sort of started a long time ago, and yeah, I actually more recently I've started doing it sort of religiously, but I was started a long time ago, just to get enough to actually utilize to teach people with. So giving it away, I dread to think how much I've given away over the years. Like, if I calculated it, I'd probably be sick. But And you know how much kids in particular have probably lost over the years. But yeah, that was kind of my thing, like DCAing to actually teach other people. But yeah, now I'm using Amber specifically for self sovereignty and all the rest of it. Um, so yeah, speaking of self sovereignty, get off zero custody. So yeah, custodial. I think I got off custodial like the first time with Mount Gox. So it was that long ago. So the Mount Gox era was basically when it's like the first exchange. So I utilized that, and a lot of people got wrecked with that because basically the guy running it didn't know what the hell he was doing, and yeah, a bunch of funds got hacked and all the rest of it, and it's kind of ancient history now. But that was a real lesson for me, to not have your money on an exchange sitting somewhere that's belonged to somebody else. So yeah, definitely being like, even if it's just a software wallet on your phone, I think is a lot better. Like something like Sparrow or Samurai wallet, I really like, or even Electrum. Um, I think back in the day, I was using Bitcoin QT that like made you download the entire blockchain before you could do a transaction, which is crazy. But yeah, there's like some really slick wallets out there that I think Blue Wallet's non-custodial as well. I use that with my Lightning node. So yeah, there's heaps of options, and I'd highly recommend people look into them. If you want some more information, we got the schoolofbitcoin.com and a whole bunch of learning materials on there specifically for that. So moving on to hardware wallets and signing devices. So getting off zero signing devices slash hardware wallets. So it's they've kind of been rebranded as of late to signing devices rather than hardware wallets, but it's kind of interchangeable. It's much of the same. I think the first time I used a hardware wallet, I think was the Ledger. But it was funny because I actually had the idea a long time ago, probably about 2014, before I even knew what a hardware wallet was, of kind of building hardware wallets using virtual machines. So a VM, cold storage, using I think Electrum, and yeah, we set up a website. I think it was bitcointills.com. So specifically for businesses. Didn't really go anywhere, but it's still there for historical purposes. But yeah, since then I've kind of used every type of hardware wallet. My favorite at the moment, if it can be considered hardware, is the Tap Signer. Tap Signer is like wicked little device that lets you do like multi-sig and all sorts of stuff without remembering the 12 or 24 words. Definitely worth checking out if you get a chance. So moving from there to getting off zero hash rate. So hash rate, I think, is really important, and it's something that's overlooked, I think, a lot, even within the community, because I don't really look at price. I look at hash rate, and hash rate's still at an all-time high. And there's a whole bunch of learning material around like why it's important to get off zero hash rate. But basically, hash rate is the power of the network. So the more power there is, the more security there is for the network. So specifically for your hardware. So mining alt chains and altcoins and these other proof of work systems like Ethereum, for example, that have just like taken that away and gone to proof of stake and left all these people with like hardware just sitting there. And now the network's insecure and centralized, right? So the more hash rate there is, the more decentralized it is, and the more secure your tokens are, or your BTC sitting in your signing device or your hardware wallet or your UTXO. So yeah, very important. And there's a lot of tools out there now that you can mine from home for kind of low hash rate, but just getting off zero I think is really important. My favorite is the Apollo miners from FutureBit. So I've got one of them about a year ago, I think now, and it just like it doesn't take much power. It sits there going away and runs a full node as well. So quite easy to set up, and yeah, it just means you're contributing to the network, which is really important. Getting off zero Lightning. So get off zero lightning is something I think is really important. Um, Across the board, I think it's like you look at the transactions per minute and it just dwarfs like Visa or anything really. Um, I think the first time that I used Lightning was definitely Wallet of Satoshi. Can't remember the first transaction, but the first time I realized that it was like a game changer was a couple of years ago. Gosh, well, probably 4 years ago now. Up in Sydney, I was running a conference for who was it? It's for a group of librarians. I forget how I got asked. It was like through someone who knew someone, so they flew me up, and I was running this full day workshop and presentation and all the rest of it. It was really fun, and it was people who had never been exposed to any of this tech before, for the most part. And the onboarding process. So I like to get them on. So like at my school, we did seed phrase hunts. So using Minecraft as a catalyst to find like a seed phrase and reassemble that. And whoever finds the words first gets the BTC. And yeah, quite fun. So we're going through that. But in terms of the lightning aspect, we actually set them all up with their phones, and we did like a chain of people sort of transferring one to the next. So starting at one end, quickly send, next, next, next. So they're all getting sats from each other and doing a transaction. And I was just like, I thought it might have fallen over because I was so used to transactions, taking up to 10 minutes on the on chain. And the fact is just so quick. Like it clicked. It really clicked with them. And they were like, wow, this is like next level. And I think this was before you could do those OSCO payments, or before they were really big on the sort of legacy finance system. So over the banking system, they've got a thing called OSCO in Australia that's quite quick, but this is even faster. So it was really cool. So that was my lightning journey with that. Multi-sig, I've always found to be quite clunky and difficult. So getting off zero multi-sig was, yeah, a bit of a journey because like one, you have to find somebody that you want to work with and trust to do transactions with. So which I've got a bunch of people to do that with, but the tools were never simple enough to use. Um, I think like years ago on the NEM blockchain, they had a really good mechanism for doing that. And myself, I'm a co-founder for Rocket Shoes. We found that quite simple to set up, but yeah, on chain for BTC, not as easy. So my favorite at the moment, it's only been in the last month or so, has been Nunchuck. So Nunchuck with the tap signers, super simple setup for multi-sig. So you can find someone that you want to create a multi-sig account with, and boom, you're up and running in a couple of minutes, as opposed to hours of stuffing around and wrecking things as it used to be years ago. But yeah, definitely important thing to learn. Getting off zero NIMS. So NIMS, I think it's a term. I don't know if it was created like within Samurai Wallet, or if those guys sort of coined the term. But basically, the concept is creating multiple IDs within the one wallet. And I think, yeah, I think it's really important, and it's something that I think people need to start learning more and more. So like a pseudonym. So like for example, for Get Off Zero, I've had to create a new pseudonym to spin up the IDs and the user accounts and all the rest of it. And I think getting good at that is really, really important, because I know a lot of people that just use the one email address for absolutely everything. And yeah, if that gets hacked, like you're done, right? So, and also for privacy, I think that it's really important. And sort of taking ownership of your own security. It's, yeah, definitely worth looking into. But getting off zero, it's only a recent thing for me. And yeah, I intend to do it more and more for different projects that I'm working on specifically. Getting off zero nodes. So I run a bunch of nodes here. Running at your own node is really important, and it's important for a number of reasons. Like one, obviously for decentralization, but and keeping a running record of the blockchain. But two, to verify your own transactions, and then three, for Lightning. So I think for having a lightning address that you can send to, and then channels that you open, which is, it's still clunky and still tricky to do. I think, yeah, those three things are really important. My favorite node is Citadel. So I've used a bunch. I've had a Casa node, had back in the day ran my own node just off a Raspberry Pi, and even Qt, like made you download the whole blockchain. But Citadel is like a fork of Umbrel, and yeah, it's got all these like privacy first tools like out of the box and quite easy to use. And I think it sort of bridges that usability versus security quite nicely. So yeah, highly recommend those guys and that software. Getting off zero edu, where are the best places you go to learn about BTC? So yeah, spun up a website called theschoolofbitcoin.com. We've got a big community there. At the start of the year, we embarked on that. And what we're building out there is something called a decentralized autonomous education system. Essentially, what that means is like a network of learners. So no teachers, no students, just learners supporting each other. And we've got a whole suite of tools to like enable learners to do problem and project-based learning. So problem-based learning is like, all right, you've got some sort of financial literacy now. What problem do you want to solve? Project-based learning in this instance is what project do you want to build for that problem. And we've got a fund of BTC that we can potentially fund learner projects with, and team of people that can help build stuff out. So yeah, that would be my number one place to go to learn about BTC. The other things, I suppose, and we've got a whole resource page on GitHub with that as well. But podcasts, I find I'm a avid listener to podcasts and learn a lot that way. And obviously YouTube, there's a lot of YouTube channels that are out there. Probably my favorite educator, Andreas Antonopoulos. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, he's amazing. He really breaks down complex ideas and makes them really palatable for anyone to sort of pick up and listen to. And we got a chance to interview him twice during the lockdown period. So actually, I think even just before the lockdown, and then once in the lockdown period with the kids at school. It was really, really cool. Such a nice guy. But yeah, check out his stuff. And finally, getting off zero, onboarding other people. So this is something I think is pretty important for any Bitcoiner that's out there to start pursuing. And it's interesting, like, because you can get like, feedback loop, talking to the same people on Twitter or whatever social media platform it is that you're using. And I think it's really important to go out and speak to people not in this community, and maybe not even onboard them, but just have a conversation about, what is money, and what do you sort of see for your future, and your kids' future, and how is finance going to help or hinder that? And having those conversations, I think, really helps you and it helps them as well. And yeah, I've been doing that for 10 years now, so it's been a long journey. But anyway, that's my first step, guys. So looking forward to interviewing lots of people, and yeah, not just in our community, like I said, like all over the place. So particularly from the EDU community, I really want to get some people that maybe even haven't thought about Bitcoin before, and yeah, getting them on some sort of learning journey as well. But if you want to follow the podcast, it's getoffzeropod.com and everything will be there. Thanks, guys.